think about having to take pictures with that, and if somebody needed to see the file, you had to either ship it somewhere, or you had to take it and try to send them through an email through uploading, and it never worked. And so now it's all right there in a centralized claim location where somebody can just go in there and pull it up and look at it if they have, a reason to be in the claim. And so it's really sped it up, because I mean, the ultimate goal on my side is to get it done for you as fast as possible. So if your car is a total loss, we want it settled within a certain amount of days, and there's a big push to do that. Progressive, they want us to settle them within 7 days, but they want it taken care of and paid as soon as possible, accurately. And if it's repaired, obviously they want us, they want it moved to the shop as soon as possible, and get the repairs completed as soon as possible so that it's back on the road. If they're not repairing, then the goal is to look at it as soon as possible. So most claims get resolved relatively fast, but just the callback expectations are set pretty high. When I first started, they were set. They were measuring you off. We're trying to get in touch with someone within 2 hours, and actually they wanted you looking at some. There was a percentage of them they wanted looked at within 9 hours, and that didn't work out. I mean, it worked, but I mean, it was not always the best for the customer, and so they made changes to allow to fit into whatever the customer's needs were. And so now we schedule it based on when the customer can let us come out and look at them. But we don't. Most of the time, there's not many that you look at that don't get repaired because they can't. They have to be. Mm-hmm. It's just.
So are there a lot of people with Progressive in Texarkana, or are you kind of unique and they're,
we have an office in Texarkana but I think there's one injury handler in that office, and then a fire and theft rep that just handles fire and theft claims, and then there's a fire and theft manager there, and then there's another adjuster out of there that does the same thing I do, that covers basically South Arkansas, and I cover Texarkana, Texas, and Arkansas, and then Lafayette County and Columbia County. And then he covers kind of the outside area. Then we have another one that lives in Hamburg that covers right in that area over there. And so we're kind of spread around. When I first switched back to being a property damage adjuster, again, I covered everything from Texarkana from Stamps over to Lake Village and all that area. And so we've kind of changed that, thank goodness.
So you report to a manager, and they're located?
My manager's actually located, or my supervisor's located he lives in Hot Springs. He basically works from home. And then I have a manager that lives in Fayetteville. And then that's all the management there is. And then I have I guess the state manager is actually in, Missouri.
Okay.
So do you have to go meet with these people, or y'all just do conference calls, or what? That's a long way away, they do.
It is. We most of the time, I think we have 1 or 2 meetings a year with our manager. He'll come down, but I haven't seen him in Texarkana in a while. And if there's a specific need, most of the time we do conference calls periodically, depending on if there's something that comes up that everybody needs to be talked with. That's a big push, is because of travel and because of the inefficiencies of travel and the fact that the productivity that's lost when you travel and meet with your people. So teleconference and Skype and things are big, and we do a lot of calls on that and do a lot of meetings on that. I think we have 2 meetings a year, like I said, in the office, where we'll sit down and talk, about anything that comes up and review results on audits and things of that nature, because they audit everything, we do, and make sure that it's within the standards of the company and what they want to see. And then my supervisor, we talk to him. Me being there as long as I have, I talk to him when I need something. Basically, he'll call and check in, and then I'll see him once every couple of months. I'm used to when I first started, we had there was a ton of people. There was an office in El Dorado and an office in Texarkana, and there was a huge number of people that worked within the state, and then that number over the time is through attrition has kind of gone down and become more specialized and more efficient. They didn't fire anybody or lay anybody off, but they just didn't rehire as people went elsewhere or moved up or whatever, and it's just gotten smaller, and they've made it more efficient within the model they have. But if you're willing to move and want to move, there's a lot of opportunity out there.
That was one of the questions I was going to ask you too. Like, where are their hubs or headquarters of their major employment areas?
We're based out of Cleveland, or Mayfield Village, Ohio. That's where it started, and so that's where the main office is at. And then Little Rock's got a big office in Arkansas. That's probably the biggest one in Arkansas, which mostly all that's there is claims people. Most of the, I imagine, you know, most of the accounting and things of that nature are housed probably within the Ohio office or some of the offices in Texas and things of that nature. I mean, Texas has got, you know, Dallas and Houston and Austin have all got large offices. And most, I mean, well, I mean, every state's got, we run in Alaska and everywhere now, so I mean, it's, there's a lot of area you could move to. If you want to, depending on what you want to do, you know, it would take you to other places. I've been pretty much, I've kind of wanted to stay around Texarkana because I mean, my daughter's there and everything else, and so that's where I've stayed. I mean, but if you wanted to move up or you wanted to see different things, there's a lot of opportunity out there that would allow you to move around and grow, you know, and move up the chain, you know, chain management and things of that nature. And like I said, they employ attorneys and everything else.
So do you work from home and then you have a company vehicle, or do you actually have to go to the office a certain number of times a week? Or?
I work from home, or I work out of my vehicle.
Yeah.
I have an office in Texarkana that I can go to if I need to. Basically, all I do is go there to either get more paper or supplies, and that's it. I print everything's printed off my computer to a remote printer somewhere in whatever office I want to mail it out of, and then most of the time the shops are set up on EFT, so it goes through electronically. And I think eventually the customers will be too, probably. We used to carry checks and things, but I guess the efficiencies of writing a check and things in the field wasn't what they wanted, as far as duplicate payments and things of that nature.
Do you have like a computer and different stuff in your?
Yes, ma'am. They provide me a company vehicle, which mine's a Ford Escape, and then I have a desk in there, and then my computer, and I have a printer, and then of course a camera and, you know, charging ports for all that stuff. But I mean, they put an inverter in the back that's big enough.
I saw the look on your face. I mean, they have like these mounted like things like police cars kind of have, or something.
Pretty much,
little,
yeah. It's like a police car.
It's like a little area like kind of swivels
I see
around.
a lot of police cars police officers driving and working on a computer.
That's not the.
Hopefully you don't insure them.
They don't want to do that. They don't want us doing that. They frown upon that, or talking on your phone while you're driving. So we don't do that, because there's a lot of. I mean, everybody's seen the statistics. Texting and driving is the biggest thing now, and a lot of people don't do that. There's been some bad accidents because of that.
So if you're the first one to kind of get there, I guess, on the scene, and there is an injury, so they've hurt somebody else pretty bad, and are you the one who decides, okay, I think we need this in reserves, or is there somebody else, like an injury person, that comes in and says, okay, this is going to take some while in litigation, but we think it's going to we need to put this aside?
The adjuster that handles it, when it comes in, basically they assign it based on what it comes in with. Like, so if it comes in as just a minor, you know, someone backed into somebody else, it goes to pretty much a central claims organization that handles, you know, claims across the country. That they're just centralized and they dispatch it for inspection. But if it's reported with an injury, it'll go to an injury specialist or injury handler within the state that it occurred in. And then depending on what happens from there, you know, it may move up the chain as far as to an injury specialist or to a casualty adjuster that handles like attorney injuries and things of that nature. If it's just a normal injury, they'll set a specific reserve that's set on everything, like a baseline, you know, like $5,000 or something like that. And then it's that adjuster's job to look at it based on what's being told to them and decide if it needs to be moved, you know, to 15 or 20 or whatever. And then basically, based on their findings, they'll send it to a manager, and a manager will decide, you know, how far to move it. Now, if it's a catastrophic accident, or fatality or something like that, then they'll adjust, the managers will adjust their reserves accordingly. But I think you can only adjust the reserves up within however much authority level you have.
Right.
So if you have, say, $10,000 in authority to write a check for, you can adjust the reserves to that amount, and then it goes to whatever level of management it needs to get up to the level that it's at. So if it's a large one, I mean, if it's $100,000 or $250,000 or something like that, over that, they'll move it up to, state level or zone level manager to make the call on that. But then they'll get those claims are usually moved and handled to, by either a litigation team if it's something that's attorney repped, or if it's not, then somebody that specializes in that, so we can make sure that you get the person, handling it that knows how to handle the situation. that's the main thing, is getting the claim to a person that knows what to do with the claim, and knows what questions to ask, and knows how to you know, address the person's concerns, and is sensitive to whatever concerns they have. Because like I said, I never realized that was one of the big shockers to me, is because you go into it and you never think about that side of it, really, to be honest with you. I mean, you think about, you know, there's a wreck and you fix the car and that's it, and then you get in there and you see that they're, you know, I mean, it's not a huge amount of significant injuries, but they're there, and you start seeing that, and that's pretty, you know, it's a pretty shocking situation when you start seeing how it's affected, you know, and people that are injured and how that, you know, what it's done to them and things of that nature. And knowing what to say and how to handle that is something that they train you for, but it takes some time to get used to.
Y'all have any questions?
Yeah, I do. If you purchase auto online, then you file a claim, they'll send you out there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, well, it depends on the situation now. Like I say it's not very bad, and you're not going to have it repaired right now, and you're just wanting an estimate and to be paid for the damages, because you're not required to repair the vehicle. You know, it's up to you. You're the customer and you own it, and so whatever's best for you is what we want to do. You know, you can, like I said, the photo option is available if it's something that's going to be pretty minimal, and you can just take pictures and send it in, and they'll send you a check. But if you want to have it fixed or something like that, they'll schedule that with whatever shop you choose to use. That's the other thing, is that, you know, we don't tell you who to take it to repair. You know, that's all up to you. I mean, we make suggestions based on, you know, whatever area you're in of shops that we have that we know do good work and that we can guarantee the work. But ultimately, it's the customer's choice. Everything about the repair process, as far as the shop and everything like that, is the customer's choice.
So y'all have a lot of people that file claims and don't fix their car?
There's quite a few. I mean, you know, if it's just a minor dent or something like that,
So why would they even file a claim?
get the money.
Yeah, but we've talked about in here, I mean, how much that affects you in the long run. I mean, with your premiums and, you know, whether they cancel you and things like that. We've talked about, you know, your clue report, and I don't understand why people would want to do
It just
that.
depends, you know, it depends on somebody's mentality. I mean, you know, I've talked to people before that have said, you know, I've paid premium for 15 years and never had a wreck,
Yeah.
you know, and so I have a wreck, and I mean, I may not fix it, but I mean, I want to get, you know, want to get paid for what it is. And then others that if it's not, you know, if it's not $5,000, they're not going to report it, you know, and they may have a deductible that's $2,000, and or some. I know people that drive brand new vehicles that don't even have collision coverage on their car because
They can afford to fix it.
they can. Yeah, they figure if it's damaged, they'll fix it out of pocket, and it'll be cheaper. I don't know how it would be cheaper than paying a premium on something, unless you just went a long time and never had a claim, because it.
Well, they have to own the car, or they would be required to have collision coverage. So they've paid cash for a new vehicle. So if you paid cash for a new vehicle, you probably have the money to fix it, I guess.
Exactly, and I've heard, and I've heard customers tell me and explain me their thought process on that, and it's, I mean, they have some.
What I've heard, I guess rule of thumb I've heard is if you could, within 3 years, what you've saved in premium would cover it, then,
Right.
you know, you're better off to take that
Right.
chance, I guess.
It's kind of like, I guess it's kind of like the health insurance and the high deductible plan. If you have a health savings account and you can save up and not have any doctor's appointments for a year or 2 years or whatever, you've saved enough money basically to cover the deductible if you have to have it. So, you know, it's a better way to go. But I mean, I see there's a lot of people that drive, you know, have $2,000 deductibles.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's, you know, if it's under that, they won't ever, you know, they won't even report it.
Well, if you've ever been the person that's had too many claims and then they cancel your insurance, or they go up on it and say, well, you've had all these claims, you kind of don't want to do that.
Right.
So-
You're right. The premium change, if you haven't, especially if it's not your fault, you know, if somebody hits you, then it's not really gonna, I would assume, not affect you too much. I mean, the at fault stuff is what really.
But the frequency, like, so if you decided to leave Progressive and go somewhere else, even if it's comprehensive, it's just the frequency will make you look, it alerts it where they don't want to write you, or you don't get the same
And
treatment if you try to leave and go somewhere else.
It's true, it depends on the company, you know, some companies won't write if you've had, you know, a couple of claims, you know, they won't renew you, and some
Yeah.
will. It just depends, I mean, we have been pretty, you know, in my experience, there hasn't been a whole lot of people drop because of
Too many
because of
claims?
frequency, yeah. I mean, and the premiums, they would go up, but they wouldn't get rid of you.
Yeah.
But I do know, you know, companies that, you know, the family members have had and things like that they've had 2 claims and gotten a letter telling them they need to go to somebody else until they can get their accident frequency.
Well, I've talked to them about my car when my mom wrecked my car, and like you were the one who came out. That's how I even knew you were still doing this. I knew like right out of college that you'd went to work for Progressive, but I didn't realize that you still were there until he's the one who called because he went out to the body shop. But my mom, I told him about my mom bumping my car into the post. I mean, it was like $3,000.
Yeah, that's a pretty good amount.
And then 3 months later, I hit a raccoon. I mean, and that sounds really stupid, but it really like messed up the front of my car, like the head of the raccoon. And anyway, our agent was like, "Don't submit that. You just need to pay for that. Don't get it." You know. So anyway, just FYI, like that's what he told me. He's like, "They may not renew you, or your premiums will go up." But I guess the first one was considered at fault, even though
Right.
it wasn't really me. But
And you know, I've had claims on my personal vehicles, like comprehensive claims.
Yeah.
And it hadn't affected it, you know, the rates have stayed the same.
well, he didn't necessarily. I think what he was saying is, if you haven't hit a deer or something else happens within this year, like it's going to be, you know, if you've already had 2 that close together, he was
And
basically.
they would know, like I said, because the customers always ask me, well, how's it gonna affect my rates? And I haven't got a clue how much it, because there's a lot of stuff that goes into those rate calculations. I mean, I think they're doing credit, you know, they're checking credits and all kinds of stuff, I
Yeah,
think.
they definitely check your credit, and then you know you guys also have the little thing that plugs into your car, and then it beeps at you if you don't drive right.
Yeah. I've tried that.
Yeah, me too.
I put it in my wife's car one time and it didn't, she drove way too much and way too fast for that thing.
Yeah, I was like, when they wanted to do it, I said, "You're promising me it's not going to go up?" Like, as long as it's not going to go up, because I drive bad. No, but I drive a lot. I drive 30 miles one way each day, so it's just the frequency that I'm on the road makes the risk.
Exactly, and that was the thing, is her, she drives a lot, and it just, for an older person or someone that, like, for myself, I mean, my personal vehicle never gets moved during the week.
Yeah.
And so to sit there if it was eligible for that snapshot, it'd be a savings for me, because because it bases on what, you know, how much you use the vehicle and your driving habits. And so someone that has a vehicle that they don't use very often or something like that, I mean, it could save some money because you're not having to pay premium on something that you're.
Right. It didn't save me very much. I mean, it did, but it was like basically non-existent. It was pretty much just I did it. But it does make you aware. I would say definitely it's a good idea to do it, just because it makes you aware of like the brakes. Well, I mean, and some stuff, I mean, you get penalized. I mean, if somebody, you know, something runs out in front of you and you quick, you know, you hard brake
Right.
and it's beeping at you, and it's like, well, crap, did you want me to hit the thing or did you want me to brake? So it might not necessarily be something that you could have controlled. So it's not foolproof, I guess, to some extent.
Doesn't it send you, like, it sends you,
You can look it up. Like, you can look
at
it up online and see what it tells you, you know, if your speed was over X, you know, it keeps up with your speed. But it doesn't necessarily know where you are in the speed limits. It just knows you went over a certain
Right.
speed. And then, but it's the hard brakes is the main thing, that it's, you know, how hard, you know, how often do you hit your brake too quickly or too hard.
Right.
And then it beeps at you. Evidently, I hard brake too much, so I
They
followed too
probably-
close, I guess. I don't know.
They probably associate that with you know, near misses, I guess, and accidents. I don't know.
I don't know either. But these guys in here, they don't think it's fair that young guys are rated higher than girls. They think girls are worse drivers. So
I'm not gonna get into that debate. I can tell you that whenever I was 25, or I'm younger than 25, my rates, and I'd never had a wreck or anything. Mine was like $270 a month. It was crazy high. And then the day I turned 25, with the policy renewal after that, it went from $250 or $270 at that time down to $125 or $130.
Dusty and I were married, like when that happened with him, and ours went, I mean, I can't remember the exact amounts, but I know it was at least half as expensive, literally, just from his birthday.
That's crazy.
It was insane.
That's like, I have a friend that's 22, and his is like $300 and something. I was like, that's a car payment, dude. It just blew my mind.
don't have a wreck.
Yeah, statistically.
It's gonna be really a lot
It
worse.
shows that those, I guess they're higher risk drivers. I mean, and heck, the color, I mean, I've noticed, I mean, not, I don't know, like I said, as far as progressive at that, but I mean, with other companies that I've been insured with, that I've noticed that I have friends that are agents with several different companies, and, they talk about the, you know, the cost of, or the, you know, certain colored cars and things like that even cause, you know, to be a higher rate.
Anybody else have any questions? Y'all surely got some questions.
I had a couple, but you asked them.
Oh, I did, I'm sorry.
I'm in the same boat.
All right, well, I'm glad y'all were thinking along the same lines. Yes, ma'am. All right, well, we appreciate you coming
Thank y'all
very,
for
very
letting me
much.
come. I'm not a public speaker, so it's kind of rough at times, but I appreciate y'all listening.
Well, we appreciate you coming. Dusty works in insurance and he still hasn't come to my class, so I can't even get my own husband to
I
come.
was just thinking about that the other day, if he was still supposed to be coming, I figured, because you said he didn't want to, that he